Are you ready to scale and outsource your business?
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm your host, Nathan Hirsch, a show where we talk about everything Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, and digital marketing. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. We have a special guest, September Dohrmann. September, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Nate. How are you?
Doing great. Always good to talk to you. A while ago, you introduced me to ceospace, which I'm a big fan of, and we will talk all about that. For those of you that don't know, September is now the CEO of ceospace, and we'll dive into it. But first, I want to take a gigantic step back, and let's talk about you growing up. Were you a straight A student? Were you a rebel? Did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I always knew that I wanted to own a business. Both of my parents own their businesses, and I really don't know another way of operating. I've had jobs in the past, and one of my careers was a cosmetologist, and quickly moved up in the salons that I worked in and grew a very fast clientele. But I always had an issue being an employee because of my ownership that I feel like I bring to the table. But I always knew that I wanted to help people. That was the foundation of it. And then I always knew that running my own business was going to be the better fit of me. A student? Not hardly. No. My social study teacher gave me a D just so I wouldn't fail the 9th grade because I was terrible with history. Bad. Yeah.
That's funny. So what age did you start your first business or really get into entrepreneurship?
Well, I mean, as a kid, my parents would have me work in their businesses. I remember being about 8 or 9, helping them out with things. My mom had several daycare centers in Nashville that were just full. There was a lot of kids and all 3 of them. And on the weekends, I would have a weekend job there. My father had a construction company in Nashville. I would help out with secretarial items. I'd go to job sites with him, and he'd kind of just show me what he did on a day-to-day basis. And I learned from both of them. I watched how they were with customers. I watched how they were with their vendors and that sort of thing, and then how they ran their businesses day-to-day. So.
And it sounds like those businesses, you were surrounded by a lot of people. Did you learn a lot about managing people in general?
I did. I really did. And I have to say that my foundation of managing people was primarily on a job site. And in construction, and at that time, culture wasn't a word that nobody spoke of culture in the 80s and the 90s, and they spoke of that. But it was... you had to have a heavy hand on the construction site because a lot of these guys just wanted to get the job done so they can go get drunk at the end of the night and hopefully show up the next day. So you had to manage them with a heavy hand. In the daycare business for my mom and her businesses, she also had a heavy hand, but it obviously wasn't like construction. And when I look at what I've learned about managing people today, there's such a contrast that it was, get the job done. This is your responsibility. You need to do this. And what I've learned is it's actually more of a heart space process, that you've got to come from the heart when you're working with people and have compassion and empathy for them. And then also push them to their greatness, not just force them to get their job done.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you remember who your first hire was and how'd it go?
Oh, my first hire. Well, my first hire actually was our accountant that we had several years ago. And she was really good. Actually, no, let me take that back. The very first person I hired was a freaking nightmare. This lady's second day on the job, she came in with these big boxes of decor, and she just totally decorated her office. Like, but did nothing in accounting. It was so horrible. But she was very good in her interview. She talked a really, really good game.
So let's talk about ceospace. How did that come about? What was the idea behind it?
Right. So Bernie Dohrmann, my husband, is founder of ceospace. He came up with this idea about 30 years ago, him and Bob Proctor, in a mastermind. Bernie has a colorful background. You can find out about that online. We're very transparent about that. But he went to prison for what he should have known. And he was surrounded in this very competitive, cutthroat environment that was really gross. And it was damaging to the people that weren't the strongest wolves in the pack. You were left behind if you weren't the strong wolf. So he wanted to change that. He wanted to create an environment where that wasn't the case, where people collaborated and contributed to one another and really understood this concept of cooperation and collaboration. And really, that's the background story of where CEO Space came from, and it's just evolved from there in the 30 years.
Talk about you stepping into the CEO role, because I feel like a lot of people, they think that they're a CEO, they're really a business owner, they're not equipped to it. What does being a CEO actually entail, and what was it like stepping into that after Bernie started CEO Space?
Yeah, so I evolved. I was starting out as kind of helping him with little things here and there, and then I moved into a VP position, and then I moved to a COO position, and then it moved into CEO. With COO, it's very task-driven. You know, your responsibility is to make it happen. You oversee all the projects. With the COO, there was a part of me that had to let go of that. I still have it. It's still a responsibility. It's my responsibility to move things along, but I do it through relationship development. And to me, that is the biggest piece that CEOs need to be aware of. Is your job is to build relationship with your customer, with your vendors, with your team members, everybody that's involved in your company.
Talk to me about your team now, because I've met a bunch of them. They're awesome. They're A players. How have you gone about constructing a team and really building a team, or really managing a team going forward?
Yeah, so I stepped into a team that I had adopted, and one of my greatest accomplishments is being a mom. And I have two boys. They're 21 and 17. And I learned a lot about structure and discipline and expectations and accountability and responsibility. And to me, that was one of the first elements that needed to come into play. Is you have to set the expectation for your team. And the thing about it is it was a little uncomfortable, because I thought, well, these are adults. They should know how to be professionals. They should know how to adult professionally. And the reality is that we all need accountability. We all need structure. I work with 3 coaches for my own accountability, because I know it's important. Nobody else is holding me accountable but myself. So at this level, you need to bring in those pieces. And when it comes to a team, structure is absolutely it. And that, you know, what are the expectations? And what I've learned from that is that when you set expectations, it has a ripple effect. Who you attract matches those expectations versus just bringing in anybody because they have a pulse.
Yeah,
your question?
No, it definitely does. And I want to touch upon the mom piece. Obviously, it's something that I can't personally speak on. So for someone listening out there that is an entrepreneur or wants to be an entrepreneur, they have kids, they have a family, they have the responsibility, what would you tell them on how you've been able to have success while also raising a family?
No, it's definitely a balancing act. That heart space management, if you will, it was easy to do that in business because that's who I am naturally as a mom. Now I had help. My husband he's older than me, so he has a little bit more experience, and he's been great as a sounding board, as somebody that's observing the behaviors and saying, you know, you could do it a little bit differently. And what it really boils down to is communication. Communication from the heart, not communication from an ego place or from a control place, because it goes against the grain, but to go with the flow and to listen and to be present. And, you know, when I was growing up, it should be seen, not heard. So to say something, to stand out, to be yourself was just it wasn't received well. So when I became a parent, that was one of the big elements that I wanted to bring into my children's life, is I want them to be comfortable to express what they're feeling in that moment. They don't have to yell. They don't have to be little jerks about it. Just teach them how to communicate, teach them how to say what's on their mind in a respectful way that really conveys the truth for them, and to listen and to receive it and just be present to that. And I can honestly say it's the exact same thing when you're working in business. Just listen, have compassion when you're talking to people, and still drive your goals. Those are important.
It makes a ton of sense. And talk about goals. So are you someone that's planning years in advance? Are you planning months in advance? I know you said you have coaches that are keeping you accountable, but how are you planning the year ahead? We're in the second quarter. I'm sure you have big plans for the rest of the year. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have a big picture, and we're always visiting that big picture about quarterly for us. As you know, we do 5 events a year. So for us to run our business quarterly doesn't work for us.
Right.
So what we have to do is we run our business cycle to cycle. That's in between each event that we hold. And we take the big picture, we chunk it out, and we say, okay, this cycle, this is what we're going to accomplish. If we don't accomplish that goal for one reason or another, we just move it over to the next cycle and continue to add those goals to reach that bigger picture for that year, for the 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then ultimately the bigger vision of CEO Space.
Talk to me more about CEO Space. I think you and I obviously know what it is. For the people listening, what can they expect? You're putting on 5 events a year. Talk to us about how you structure these events and why.
Yeah. So the events are, I love my job. I love what I do. I feel so fortunate to be able to work with amazing people. We've created an environment that, first of all, everybody signs an NDA when they come in, so that you have the freedom to share where you are, to be vulnerable, to talk about your project, and not worry about somebody taking your idea or running with it. So we believe that it's a safe place to work in. And another layer that we've added on to make it a safe place is that all of our subject matter experts, our faculty, the people that are teaching, they're all vetted. They have a background check done. We cross our T's and dot our I's and make sure they are who they say they are and they can do what they say they do. We look for that track record. We look for, how are they showing up online? Do they have a beautiful website? Are they taking care of their customers on social media, or are they ignoring them? And so we pay attention to those pieces. We get feedback off of what their services are. That's at the high level. That's the leadership level. On the customer level with our members, we really look for high achieving business owners, people that are hungry. They know that they're ready to take their business to the next level. And they really just want to be a part of a tribe of like-minded individuals that believe in contribution. A big element to what we deliver is the experience of reciprocity. So as you know, Nate, when you came to CEO Space, a part of our networking, actually all of our networking, is based around what's your name, what are you working on, and how can I contribute? We're always encouraging our customers to give first, and what happens in that is just magic. When you give first and you show up as service, what you need is there for you. It shows up for you, and better than what you thought it could. So it's really a beautiful process. You know, Justin and Tonya Rekla, they've been a part of CEO Space for quite some time, and it has been such a pleasure to watch them morph into these amazing, amazing business owners that have 6 businesses. Are you kidding me? They had no business when they came to CEO Space. Now they have 6. 2 of them are well into their 6 figures. They're very vocal about that. And they contributed to this law of reciprocity, this synergistic collaboration that they've experienced at CEO Space, where you contribute to one another, and through that, what you need shows up.
And Tonya, Justin, big clients of Free Up, they're going to be on the podcast along with their daughter, who's also an entrepreneur. I forget how old she is, but she's crushing as well. So it's pretty cool to kind of watch them just keep doing what they're doing. One of the other things I wanted to mention is the meal tables. A big part of CEO Space is all the faculty, they sit at different tables. So if I'm there as a hiring guy, there's another table with the marketing guy, another table with the real estate guy. And as someone who's going there as a member, you can decide to sit with whoever you want and pick their brain for the entirety of each meal. So I always thought that was kind of cool. And you guys have a lot of different activities as well. Talk to me about feedback, because I know one thing that you guys do is after I spoke, you would ask people for feedback. I know you're asking it on social media and to your clients and to the people on your team. To how important is feedback to growing your business?
It's very important. I mean, you need to have something echoed back to you. When you're taking action, to have it echoed back, to say, this is what the experience is like for me in the field. Think about it as, you know, you're a sales team leader. You're not in the field. So you need your sales team to give you feedback to know what the heck is going on out there. You're playing at a different level when you're running a company. You're not in the experience like your customer is. So to get their feedback is just crucial. And a lot of feedback, you also have to use discernment with feedback. I will say that, is that if you've got 1,000 customers, if 2 people complain about something, consider it, listen to it. And oftentimes people just want to be heard.
Right.
They just want to be heard. And you give them that sounding board. But when you hear feedback consistently enough over your customer base, that's when you really start to pay attention. So to ask customers constantly for feedback, you're looking for those common threads that show up. Sorry about that. You look for those common threads to show up so that you know what kind of action to take.
Makes sense. Talk to me about strengths and weaknesses, because I feel like a lot of people, as the CEO of maybe a smaller business, they just try to do everything. Have you identified what you're good at, and if so, what is it, and what are you not good at that you delegate to other people?
Yeah, so well, that's a fun conversation. I'm choosing to grow our company in a way where I really want to understand all of our processes and then pass them off to somebody else. I know that you adopt a very similar model. In fact, I believe you're known to say, I will work a process for 3 months, no more than 3 months, and then I hand it off to somebody else to run that process.
Right.
I'm aware of my weaknesses majority of the time. There will be situations where I'll go in, I'll say, this is my strength, but then a situation will arise where I go, well, this particular item is not my strength. Let me reach out to somebody. Who can I call? Who do I know that can give me some guidance or can offer some suggestion around that? And to me, that's the whole kind of the foundation of being a part of a tribe. It doesn't have to be ceospace. It can be any place. Just find yourself a community, group of like-minded people that you can call on just as a sounding board, just for advice. When it comes to the weaknesses, I embrace them. I learn what can I do to overcome this, because I need to figure out that process so that I can hand it off. Look, at the end of the day, if one person falls out of the company or moves on in their life, and I need to step in to fill in those shoes until we get a permanent person, I want to make sure that I know how to run that process until I can get somebody else in there. And the whole thing with that is that when you know what you're doing, what that role needs to look like, you know, it kind of sets the bar. And you know that, well, I want to bring somebody in better that can take it to the next level. But if you don't have that bar set, you don't know what that next level looks like and who can deliver it.
September, what would you tell other entrepreneurs that are listening right now, where in 2019, the opportunities are there? Sometimes it's overwhelming to figure out what they should be doing, how they should be prioritizing. You work with a lot of entrepreneurs. What advice do you have for people listening?
It's an interesting question. I've got a lot of different ways that I could answer that. And all I can offer is just my personal experience. And that is you've got to find a way to balance your life. You have to. For me, meditation is key. That has to be a part of my routine in the morning. It keeps me grounded. When you step into business, it can be scary. Not everybody always has support. Families don't always support those that want to step out on their own. I often hear, well, I'm starting a business and my family's telling me I shouldn't because I'll fail at it. Don't buy into their fear storms. That's their fear story, not yours. You do what you do. You do what you know is right for you in your life, and you surround yourself with people that can support you in that. That is key. You can't do this alone. You cannot do it alone. I've had some experiences these last couple of weeks that has forced me to really reach out for more help, which is not my nature. I have a small group of people that I'll go to, but I'm ready to take my humility to another level and reach out and ask people for more help than I ever have before. But I'm ready. I'm hungry. I want to see the end. I want to see that vision so badly that I'm willing to do anything that it takes. And that's my advice to anybody. If you're committed all the way. And it is not an easy road, but boy, is it sure worth it.
September, this has been awesome. Where can people find out more about you? Where can they find out more about ceospace? And what are you most excited about for the rest of the year?
Yeah. Well, you can find out about ceospace by going to ceospaceinternational.com. You can learn more about me by checking out my LinkedIn profile, September Dohrmann. My last name is spelled Dohrmann, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn there. And the most exciting thing is our marketing pieces that we're putting together. We've been around for 30 plus years, and in that time, we've only grown word of mouth. And when I stepped into the CEO role, obviously one of the things that I had to do was reorganize and restructure the company. That was a big element. Now that that's all behind us and that we really have those systems and structures in place, now we're saying, okay, how do we get the message out there? How do we let people know about contribution and reciprocity and collaboration and cooperation in business and the effect that that has on your circle, on your organization? So I'm really excited about the pieces that we're bringing together for our members to keep them closer together and to keep that the experience of the forum going even between the events. And it's a really beautiful thing. I can't say it enough. I love, love, love what I do.
Thanks so much for joining us, September.
I appreciate you having me, Nate. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.